Mexico. Me llamo Rafa, and welcome to the Alibre community.
Rafa's been amazing. Seriously, yeah, big applause for Rafa. He started this amazing center. I can't believe how lucky you guys. You really don't understand how lucky Tijuana is to have this kind of beautiful space and be able to host people like me and Alexi, who, by the way, I don't think he got enough of an introduction because he is one of the unsung heroes in Ethereum, not only with the parity multisig hack, but there's all sorts of hacks that he finds out behind the scenes and he warns people about. There was like 6 of the top 10 exchanges had a bug that was never exploited because, well, he exploited it. He exploited all these exchanges for like just a few dollars, right? And then told them all about it so that they didn't end up getting hacked for millions of dollars. So we really, another round of applause for Alexi because so many stories like that. Can you guys hear me without the mic, or should I stick with this thing? This thing sounds kind of fuzzy. Mic? Okay, the mic is good. So a little background on me. Alexi kind of warmed it up because my first project was the DAO. Oops, sorry about that. It's gotten better from there though, I promise. After the DAO died, the White Hat group, who Alexi joined after, he didn't help us hack the DAO, luckily. He was safe from that one. But the White Hat group who ended up hacking the DAO and giving back all the money in the ETC chain and doing all these things. After that, we decided to start a project called Giveth, which the goal of Giveth was to become a safe place to experiment with decentralized governance, while at the same time making the world a better place. We saw that the DAO made a bad name for DAOs in general. And this was a little scary for us because we believe the technology that Ethereum provides can really change the world and make it so much better and give people individual empowerment that they've never seen before, and the power to build communities around ideas and causes. So with Giveth, with the DAO, it was all about money. It was like, okay, let's get a bunch of people together and see how much money we can make. That's cool and all, but that's not really exciting to me, at least. So with Giveth, we decided to build a platform that would be open for anyone to create ideas for charitable causes, right? Oh, hey, I want to create a cause to help homeless people in Tijuana, right? And then anyone could go on Giveth and propose an idea to actually help the people here. And then you could actually also build a community around that cause that could raise money without knowing exactly where the money was going to go in advance, and then spend that money in a traceable way, all on the blockchain. Now, I got to say, I was shown up when I got here because Rafa's, how do you say it? Cooperacha on Alibre is way better than what Giveth has right now. So I just want to throw that out there. You guys have a real gem here. The only thing he's missing is it's not on the blockchain, right? Yeah, we're going to work on that. But it's basically, that's what we're trying to do too. Hey, Song, do you think you could go to beta.giveth.io on here? Oh, hey, that's me. That's cool. I didn't see that. But yeah, so we have a dApp that's been working for a while. Actually, I've run 2 Burning Man camps on it, and we have lots of other projects that have started on it. You can scroll down and you can see all these other campaigns that are working on the dApp currently. Like That's our decentral camp. Rafa actually came to Burning Man with us, so did Alexi. Alexi came both years. Everyone paid their dues in crypto. Everyone, and then all the expenditures of where the money went for our camp was transparently recorded here, and the money could only be spent if it was presented here, right? And so that was kind of the idea of Giveth, is that you can have transparent, traceable donations for anybody to see. We have, can you go back up to the main page? So here, when someone donates to a community, they still actually have control of their funds. This is the one thing Cooperacha doesn't have, right? They have everything after this, and they do it way better than we do. But this is, thank God we have something, right? So you can actually create a community here that's basically a DAO, right? We call it a DAC, a decentralized altruistic community. And then they can collectively decide where to send the funds. So this is the Giveth DAC. Right now, I actually am the sole person in the Giveth DAC, so it's not very D, but that's okay. We're still working on it. And then all the money that I send goes, that I decide to go, can be sent here. And if you donate to the Giveth DAC, you can see exactly on what your money was spent. So like if you go to the Giveth governance, you can see like there's different milestones that, you know, people's salaries and like flights to different places, t-shirts that like I saw Jorge wearing this shirt earlier, you know, was paid for on the DApp. But this is just the beginning. And really this whole DApp, which, oh, by the way, I should say, we are hiring specifically for devs in Tijuana. So we have one dev that's working part-time in this office. And if you are interested in getting your feet wet in the blockchain space, we would happily take you on under our wing. And we have some amazing developers, the White Hat group, who are, you know, hacking pretty hard in the Ethereum space. So if you want to learn from some of the best, come on in. But anyway, back to the actual presentation. This is the foundation for what we want to build on top, which is DAOs for charity. What this provides, honestly, it doesn't need a blockchain. As I said, Rafa has built something perfect for it, right? But what we can do with this foundation is we can start to change the way the charitable system works today. If you look at systems, they work best when everybody who's in the system is working in their own best interest, and it helps the system out. The charity system today does not work like that. When someone donates, they lose, and everybody else wins. The incentives are very misaligned, right? And it's very sad because these charities are working on some of the most important causes we have today, but they're working against their own best interest. And it's a tragedy of the commons. In fact, that's like what they call it, the tragedy of the commons. So we believe that with blockchain technology, we can change the way the system works. And I'll give you an example. The first fork of Bitcoin was called Namecoin. Namecoin is still around today, even though no one uses it, okay? No one touches this stuff. With Namecoin, you have this decentralized domain registration service. Anyone in the world can go to the Namecoin, and without giving any ID, they can register a .bit domain. And then anyone in the world, if they go into Chrome or whatever browser they have, change a bunch of settings, right? And they can go to that .bit domain, and they can see whatever is being hosted. And no one can stop them. No one can take down the domain. ICANN, who runs most of the, I think all of the domain registration in the world, they can't stop this, right? And what the most incredible thing about Namecoin, though, is that no one uses it, and it's still here, right? No one, if this was a startup, if this was a charity, if it was a B Corp, it doesn't matter, right? If it was any kind of normal organization in its own, in the normal system, it would have failed a long time ago, because no one uses it. But because instead of creating a company or a nonprofit, they created an economy. And in this economy, they aligned the incentives properly so that every actor acting in their own best interest actually supported the commons. They actually supported the whole idea of decentralized domain registration. This was the first fork of Bitcoin, but it's not the last example. Another one is Primecoin. Primecoin is a funny one, right? Basically, to mine Primecoin and create Primecoin out of nothing, you just have to find a prime number that's never been found before. I mean, pretty random for sure. And the guys who made it were heroes, okay? Because they've found more prime. This economy has found more prime numbers than we ever knew existed, right? Because they put, every day there are hundreds of prime numbers discovered. And no one cares, but it's happening because they built an economy around it, right? And a better example that I'm working towards, right, is folding coin and Cure coin. These coins are amazing. They're actually, I think finding prime numbers is cool. It does help the world, I guess. But these coins are actually using their, you mine Cure coin and folding coin by contributing computing power to fold and unfold human proteins for cancer research, right? So these researchers at Stanford and other colleges were paying money for computing resources to do this cancer research, but now they don't. Because really smart people made an economy around it that created money out of nothing to support this, to give computing resources to these researchers. And now they don't have to pay for that research. There was, like, how is this possible, right? And there's a lot of things that come into this that are interesting. Because when you create this economy, not only do you have the people supporting it, like in folding coin, the researchers obviously will just buy folding coin just to support the community and support the people who are mining folding coin. And other people will probably come and mine, maybe even at a slight loss, just because they know they're helping cancer research. So there is some altruism still going into the economy. But beyond that, then you have speculators. Speculators don't care about the cancer research, okay? They just don't. They care about, oh, I can buy low, sell high, and I'm going to play these games. Well, when they do that, they create a demand for the currency, which in turn creates a demand for mining Cure coin and folding coin, and therefore actually creates a demand for supporting cancer research, right? So you have, it's kind of weird, right? You think speculation, oh, that's a bad thing. You don't want to speculate on this. Actually, because the incentives were aligned properly, everything that you would think is a bad thing, which is like people taking profits, actually helps the system. Now, this is all in the digital realm, because blockchains, you know, they kind of play in the digital realm. Well, Giveth's goal is to take it out of the digital realm and bring it into the real world. And we actually believe we can do that because there are these new crypto primitives. I'm so glad Alexei did such a good job explaining smart contracts because I'm going to go a little deep here. Maybe I should see, like, how many people have heard of smart contracts before tonight? Okay, that's pretty good. Oh, thank God. So then I'm going to keep going. I'm going to go pretty deep. Oh my God, I almost forgot about Kermit. Okay. Sorry, buddy, I won't forget about you. Oh, it's okay. So Kermit here is a very altruistic person. Well, he's a frog. And Kermit wants to donate to help frogs in Tijuana. Isn't that right? I love frogs. Oh, good. So Kermit is altruistic as all hell, and he donates to the biggest frog charity in Tijuana, Frogs for All of Us, right? And Frogs for All of Us, when he donates, they send him a t-shirt, and he's really excited about it. So he wears that shirt all the time. Yeah, I do. But in the end, you know, Kermit loves frogs and all, but he just lost his job. He's having some troubles. He can't donate to frogs anymore. It's really sad. Yeah. So it's unfortunate, but the donations have to stop because he has to worry about himself. Now, all of a sudden, Giveth is going to have an experimental campaign. Okay, I'll tell you how this goes. Instead of donating and losing all the money, right, you actually send your tokens send your money. We're going to say DAI, right? And let me just back up. There's this crazy thing called XDAI, which is a sidechain of Ethereum, where DAI is basically like Ethereum. You pay gas in XDAI, and you can send DAI to a smart contract on Ethereum that will create XDAI on the sidechain. And then you can do all sorts of complicated things on the sidechain because it's cheaper gas. But this is and that's where we're going to end up doing this stuff. So one of the big projects we have with Giveth is to move the DApp over to XDAI. But for now, let's just pretend that the Ethereum network is okay to do expensive gas transactions, okay? It's not, but let's say it is. So Kermit here, how much DAI you got, Kermit? 10. Cool. So Kermit's got 10 DAI, and what he's going to do is he's going to send it all to the smart contract that helps frogs in Tijuana. Yay! Normally when he sends his money, he gets like, you know, a t-shirt or a hat or something. But this time he gets tokens. He's going to get frog tokens. And with those frog tokens, they actually have value. And the value, though, isn't determined by an open market. The value is determined by the smart contract itself. This is called a token bonding curve. What? Oh, sorry, Kermit. So a token bonding curve is basically this, like, a smart contract where people a smart contract, where people put money into it and get tokens back. But the money stays in the smart contract. It doesn't go straight to help frogs. I want to help frogs. Well, I'll get there. So when the smart contract gets the DAI, it creates tokens, right? And when the price of those tokens is determined by the total supply of the token in general, right? So if there's 100 tokens, the price is $1. If there's 101 tokens, the price is $1.01. As the price of the token goes up, as the supply of the token goes up, as more people buy it, then the price of the token goes up. As the supply of the token goes down, as people burn their tokens and take money out of the contract, then the price of the token goes down, right? I'm sorry, Kermit, I'm going to have to let you go because I want to draw on this whiteboard. So there are these things called Ponzi schemes. Now, I'm really sorry about this, but this is right now the current best use case for a token bonding curve is to create a Ponzi scheme, which is really lame. But, so you have the price, right? We'll say DAI, or tokens per DAI per token. And then you have total supply of tokens. So in a Ponzi scheme, it goes like this. As people buy tokens, the price goes up. As people sell tokens, the price goes down. But the more people that buy, the more profit you make. And so you get it really high, and then you try to buy a lot of tokens, or someone usually tries to buy a lot of tokens, and then you sell all the tokens and you hope that no one notices because everyone's sleeping or something, right? This is unfortunately where token bonding curves has been cutting their teeth. Ooh, that eraser sucks. Okay, so, but this is a Ponzi scheme. What I want to do is very different, and what Giveth is going to do. It actually goes like this and levels out. And at some point up here, as more people buy in, you make less money. So this slows down the idea of like supporting this token bonding curve too much, right? And then, but when the price goes down, people still want to put money in. So this is kind of how the token bonding curve idea works. But that alone doesn't obviously help frogs, and Kermit wants to help frogs. So what we do is we connect this to what we call a TCR, right? But you know what? I'm not going to go into complex governance stuff that only like crazy Ethereum people think about. We're just going to call it a black box. We're going to call it a DAO, right? So this DAO, it's a green box because Kermit, you know. This DAO has the people who have tokens get to decide what this DAO does with the money in it, right? Now, how does money get into this DAO? It's always here, right? Well, there's two ways that money actually starts in this DAO. The first is when people buy in early, right? So if you notice, like the people who buy in early get a really cheap deal on these tokens. That's not really fair. That's not cool. You know, they make too much money. That's not good. So what we do is we actually like kind of do a bulk buy. And say, let's say we want frogs, you know, it's not the end of the world. Frogs in Tijuana, you know, it's not the biggest thing. It's just like, so let's just say that we need like 10,000 DAI to start this bonding curve. And so the people who are like in the know in the community here, like that know all the things about frogs, all the cool biologists, you know, all the famous frog, like eccentric people here in Tijuana, they get together and they raise $10,000. And they actually they raised $20,000, right? And they start this what we're calling, they start this commons. So Giveth is calling this the commons stack, right? So they start this community focused on frogs in Tijuana, and they end up putting down $20,000, and $10,000 goes into the token bonding curve, the smart contract that people can sell their tokens into, right? But $10,000 goes in, 10,000 DAI, one DAI is $1, it's a stable coin. 10,000 DAI go into this DAO. Now, this DAO is on top of Giveth. So people can like make proposals. I want to, you know, save this marshland from the convenience store that's going to be built on top of it. Too many frogs live there, right? And another guy has an idea about like going to the zoo and breaking out all the frogs. We're going to save them and set them free, you know? And so there's all these people that have ideas about how they can help frogs in Tijuana. And the DAO gets to decide, the people who have tokens make up the DAO, and the DAO gets to decide, you know, which ideas are best. And they spend the money. Now, as they spend the money, the people who put in the initial funds, their tokens were actually locked. They can't just sell their tokens right away, because obviously the $20,000 is stuck here. There's only $10,000 there. It wouldn't work. So when they get their initial tokens, their tokens are locked, and they cannot actually sell those tokens until some money is spent. And when money gets spent, it goes like they send the DAI to Giveth, and the milestone here it says like, okay, you want to break frogs out of the zoo. Like, okay, here's like $1,000 to do it, but you only get paid after you actually do it, right? So the DAI is sitting in this smart contract, and then when they send pictures of all the frogs being free and like a little selfie of them in the zoo, these guys are going to jail. It's a bad idea. But like, you know, hey, frog people get crazy. When they do it, they end up getting paid out because they proved that they did that action. But instead of just getting the DAI, the DAI goes into this token bonding curve, it buys some, and then they get frog tokens. And if they want, they can sell their frog tokens back into the bonding curve and get DAI. Now, this is where it gets kind of crazy. When they got 1,000 DAI here, but they don't end up getting 1,000 DAI out of this token bonding curve. Because when people sell into the bonding curve, there's a fee. There's a little bit of friction. And that money ends up going to the DAO. So we'll say 3% fee for any kind of sales, and that 3% goes to the frog. So what we have here is like this system where everybody's incentives are aligned, right? The people who buy in, their tokens are locked. It is their job to do good governance in this DAO. Because if they help the frogs here in Tijuana, like people will get excited, right? All the people who are donating to all those frog charities, you know, they're gonna why would they donate to a frog charity when they can actually get a speculative token of value and donate to that instead, right? So that encourages more people to buy, which also gives them more money because they ended up buying early. So they're really incentivized to get more people to donate to the charity. They're incentivized to do a good job at making decisions that everyone will like, the whole community at large will enjoy, and they're also encouraged to spend the money because their tokens are only unlocked as the DAO spends money, right? And what's really exciting, though, is just like Namecoin, speculators will get involved. And when speculators get involved in a secondary market, they might actually change the price. So you have this token bonding curve that says, buy here, and you can buy it for this price and sell it for that price, and there's a 3% difference all the time, right? But then there might be like Bittrex, or maybe Rafa is going to bring Frogcoin to our Alibre one day, right? And if he starts selling it over local Frog, local Bitcoins, but it's for the Frogcoin, if they start selling it there, then there might be a difference, and people can do arbitrage. And that arbitrage will just feed more money to frogs. And all of this whole circular economy can grow, and people can, buy frog legs for Frogcoin, and that creates a demand for the currency, right? It's probably a bad idea. They probably won't. People who love frogs probably won't buy frog. That will never work. But you get what my picture here. Here we have an economy helping frogs, and that economy is well balanced so that every participant, when they do what they want, when they make profits, when they act in their own self-interest, they actually help the commons in general. And, this whole frog thing is kind of a joke because Paul, who works here, made me use this Muppet because it was a joke that got out of hand. But it's important to start with small things like this because in the end, we don't want to put all of our eggs in one basket and try to end homelessness in Tijuana and then it fail miserably, right? But what's really nice is that if we do this on Giveth, right, and this whole thing fails, you still have people here that they want to break into the zoo and help frogs. It doesn't matter if they get the money from this crazy smart contract system or if somebody just decides somebody who loves frogs in Paris just decides to send money to it, right? They can accept funds no matter what. Or if somebody who bought tokens in this DAO, if Kermit, he's like, dude, I want to free my brother. He's in the jail, the zoo. He's in the zoo. We got to get him out. He only has 10 DAI. He puts all his money behind that idea and it just never gets through. He can just be like, you know what, screw it. I'm going to sell my tokens and I'm going to send that money there directly. Because this whole system is actually just one actor in a larger open system, which is way safer than what we did with the DAO, okay? Anyone who proposed to the DAO, it was just over. And if we're trying to actually make the world a better place, it's a little scary to put all our eggs in some untested code, some crazy smart contracts. So this is, we actually just won the hackathon in Denver, Denver, and today they actually made a video in Newsweek about our system. So it was really cool. That's on Twitter if you guys want to check it out. This is a real project that we're pushing forward on Giveth, and it's one of the things, I haven't been this excited about a project since the DAO, so we'll see how this one works out. But yeah, does anyone have any questions about anything? Okay. I also work on a few other projects that I should at least introduce, especially if I'm repping IDEN3 out here. IDEN3 is an identity project that is using zero-knowledge proofs to allow privacy by default. Any identity can make a claim on any other identity, and that claim can be verified in a trustless way. And it's a very cool project. And it's one of the major pieces that we need to get out of the plutocratic models that we have here in DAOs, and that's why I'm really excited about it. Yeah?
What would happen if the money is not spent to help frogs? I mean, if you don't find any project to help frogs in Tijuana.
Yeah, so in this system, first off, there's got to be people who care about the cause to start, right? And when they're raising this money, ideally, they would also be putting causes on Giveth that they want to support anyway in. So hopefully that's like part of the requisite to, like obviously frogs in Tijuana probably won't get a bonding curve because no one really cares about frogs in Tijuana. Do you guys care? I'm sorry, like I don't even know if frogs exist in Tijuana, okay? It just, maybe for this like couple weeks, you know, but like it's too dry. So it probably wouldn't work out, right? And what we're going to build in a system, like personally, I kind of have PTS DAO, right? I'm like really scared of getting screwed again by going full on decentralized. We will probably have escape hatches and like overrides switches so that like if there's maybe 90% of the token holders decide that this whole thing doesn't work, they all vote. And maybe there's a 60% quorum or some kind of stats that people would set from the beginning where they can just shut it all down. All the money in here and in the DAO will just go back to the token holders equally. And then that we can just end gracefully. And what's really exciting about this system, honestly, is that there isn't really a good way for corporate charities to die, right? Like if you're a charity and you want to cure breast cancer, for instance, right? You grow and grow, you grow. You have the normal corporate business model that says get as big as you can and create a foothold in the economy so that you can survive. So you have your donors over here, you have the projects that are like researching breast cancer solutions over here. You don't want to connect them because you're a middleman. You need to take the money from the donors and give it to the researchers. This is so sad because the people in there, they don't care about like that. They want to cure breast cancer. But the system that they're working within says, hey, don't connect people because you need to siphon off the top. And that's really too bad. But even worse so, the CEO at the top, right? If they end up finding a really promising cure for breast cancer, it's actually a moral hazard for him to even pursue it. Because if they actually cured breast cancer, he'd have to lay off all of his workers, right? So, I mean, of course he's going to pursue it because it's an altruistic cause, and that's what they're there for. But why are they working in a system where they have to work against themselves, where they have to lose in order to win, right? And if they win, then they lose. Right? That sucks. Like, oh yes, I cured breast cancer. Now I have to look for another job. You know? And with this system, actually, you have a nice, easy way out, because you have speculators and you have people that are investing into the commons, into frogs or homelessness, or like, maybe building up a park or building up whatever system that you're looking at. And you have people investing into the system almost like a startup, right? Where the commons is itself the startup. And if you make a bad investment, like let's say, we're gonna like kick up this park. You know, there's this awesome park. We need new playground equipment. We need maintenance on the grass, and we need to do all these things. I say this because Rafa's family happens to do this kind of stuff. Yeah. Then at the beginning, if you buy in, it needs it. So it's a good investment, and you're probably going to see progress, and more people are going to buy in because as they see progress happen. But all of a sudden, the park is just pristine. It's like this golden like gem of Tijuana because it's so awesome. It probably doesn't need more investment. So people aren't going to put more money into this park. I mean, maybe they do. It gets wild, but probably not. Especially since the investment is going to dwindle off. They're not going to make more money. So then it starts to die off because hopefully there are other systems that actually need the money, that are better investments. So the people that donate to this park, because I still see it as donating, they're going to lose money because it doesn't need it. But as people sell, what's funny is the DAO gets money, right, to finish the job, to make sure that the people who are cutting the grass every week still get paid and all of these things. And so you might get to a really small spot on this curve where all it does is maintenance costs. But it's a continually funded organization because it will never get down to zero, because as people sell, there becomes more money in the DAO. And then it doesn't take much money to decide what to do with that money. So then you have this opportunity as an investor to be like, well, I'll go cut the grass for, $100 an hour, right? Because I have all the tokens in this DAO, and I'm excited about it, right? So you would never get there, because the people who are helping care for this property, they end up with tokens, and they would just decide to pay themselves, right? And so you have this system where, like, it will continuously be funded. There will most likely be speculation until the point where this money really has nowhere to go, and then it will just end up dying. And so that's because the park has found a sustainable way. The park got so much money, they genetically engineered grass to not need to be cut, right? Like, amazing stuff. So this is like the most exciting thing I've ever worked on, I have to say. This is like a new way to sustain the commons, and I'm really excited to like push it forward on top of Giveth. But the reason this isn't my only project is because this relies on decentralization, and there's lots of like missing infrastructure to make this easy and make this possible, right? So another project I work on is called DAppNode, which is for, because like right now we just did some research and it's really scary. If you take out all the nodes from Infura and the nodes that are in Ethereum and the nodes that are run on AWS and DigitalOcean, we only have 700 nodes running. Like, that's not very decentralized. And it's pretty crazy. We're gonna publish the results in about a week. And with DAppNode, we actually help people give them a reason to have their own hardware in their house and run nodes that can make them money. It's not mining, but there's proof of stake nodes and things like that, and make it really easy to like one-click install Monero, one-click install Lightning Network, one-click install Ethereum testnets, one-click install these things. Because we need a decentralized hardware infrastructure. We also need decentralized identity, right? And ideally, we have some decentralized internet and mesh nets. Because like, something that's kind of dangerous here is like, what if we start doing stuff like this that end up solving some of the problems the governments are making, or are attacking, right? The whole point of governments, in my opinion, is actually to solve tragedy of the commons issues. And if we don't actually have decentralized infrastructure and this kind of stuff ends up like, pissing people off, then it won't work. We need to build our own new styles of human collaboration. We actually need a solid infrastructure of decentralization. So anyway, I'm sorry, I'm just ranting, guys. Do you guys have any questions? Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah, absolutely. This is the problem with tools, right? Like, Home Depot sells hammers, and you can use those hammers to build houses, or you can like hit people over the head with them. And it's really hard to always have to worry about that, like, 1% of people that decide to do horrible things with the tools that you create. But I actually have this crazy faith in humanity. And I think that in the end, especially if we model how to use these tools in positive ways, that's where the most impact will be had. If instead I was a crazy terrorist or something, or like, I was the Pentagon and I wanted to do crazy things with this, it probably wouldn't work out and people would model after that first use case. But hopefully, as Giveth, people trying to like, change the way, build the future of giving and like, end homelessness for the world, right? Those kinds of things. Hopefully they'll see this, and that's where it will have the most impact.
I'm just curious, what is the decentralized identity?
Yeah.
What is that all about?
So Ident3's a goal is to allow anybody in the world to choose the authority for their identity management, right? and to be the authority. So like, imagine when you, and also to reveal as little information as possible. So imagine you go to the bar. Is the drinking age 18 here? Yeah, so you go to the bar, you're 19, you show someone the ID, they're like, okay. But guess what? That bartender gets to see your house, your address, their birthday. Are you an organ donor? At least, all these things that they don't need to see, right? And who knows what they do with that information? They don't need it, but just to prove your identity, that's what they had to do. And the only IDs they accept are the ones they know. So, you have like the bartender doesn't know if you're from Turkey or something, like, well, is this a real ID or not? I don't know. Like, I guess it looks like a passport. There's all these issues, right? And instead, if IDEN 3 system actually works, when you go, you would just have a QR code on your phone that you'd show the guy. And with that QR code, they could see, yes, you are over 18. And they could see which authority says it. Oh, the state of Mexico, right? Or maybe the city of Tijuana. And I accept those authorities. And they could choose the different authorities that they accept. Maybe the bartender himself is an authority, right? And there's this crazy crypto-anarchist guy who doesn't want a national ID, but he's got gray hair and a beard. He's clearly over 18. The bartender can just be like, here, I'll approve that you're like over 18. So then he doesn't need an ID. And the person at the bar checking the ID, they don't even have to care which authority it is. There'd just be a whitelist of authorities. Maybe all of the nations in the world and a bunch of states, except for maybe a few that they don't trust. And then what's really cool about this system is that when you give them that proof, you're actually giving only them the ability to prove that you are over 18. They couldn't take that data and give it to someone else and be like, listen, I know this guy's over 18. And the way we do that is pretty cool. We use zero knowledge proofs, but we don't prove that you're 18. What we prove is either you're over 18 or you know the private key to the public key that you're proving it to. So it's a little crazy, but basically, if then the person takes that either or proof and shows it to someone else, it's like, hey, look, either this guy's over 18 or I know my private key. It doesn't really work. It only works if it's the other person's public key that they know that they've protected their private key and no one could know it, right? And then the whole system works on this really experimental technology called zero knowledge proofs that's still pretty far away from being ready for like normal consumption. This is definitely like an early stage research project. However, we're on the bleeding edge. The White Hat group is like, Barry White Hat is the person who's part of the White Hat group, obviously. He is the first person to create a token on Ethereum that uses zero knowledge proofs and can be anonymous. And then Jordy, my partner in crime, like all the time, he actually wrote a compiler and a higher level programming language so that anyone could make a trusted setup and build a zero knowledge proof for any system that they want. So if you're like a hardcore dev and you want to start playing with zero knowledge proofs, the best thing to do is to go to the IDEN 3's blog. There's like a walkthrough, and you can build your own zero knowledge proofs. People do it at hackathons all the time. And the higher level programming language to do that is called Circum, C-I-R-C-U-M. Or C-I-R-C-O-M, I think. Sorry. And it's really cool. You can just like type in, create trusted setup, and then you just create a trusted setup. Like it's too easy. And so IDEN 3 has a lot of other cool things. Like it's super scalable. You can make thousands of claims and combine them into one Merkle root, and then put that one Merkle root on the Ethereum blockchain. So with one transaction, you can basically secure thousands and thousands of claims. So it's very scalable. And there are people that are already working on it to do anonymous voting. This group called Vokdoni, who's actually on Giveth. They're raising funds on Giveth to create anonymous voting for scalable anonymous elections.